So I want to first start off by asking you guys a little bit of each of your own perspectives of how you came up with, this solution to your homeschool group and trying to figure out how to teach different subjects to students.
I was straight homeschooling. I was a part of a co-op, and my sister in Texas was a part of a program that was so attractive to me because it helped meet some needs that I needed, even as a homeschool mom. I came up to Jamie and I talked to Jamie about, what do you think about trying to get something like that here in Georgia? I had talked to Wes a lot about this, and he kept saying, no, no. And then there was a time that he said, okay, let's do it. And so I talked to Jamie, and mainly it was because I wanted to talk to people that I knew were movers and shakers. And these are these two ladies that are by me. And so I went to Jamie and I talked with her at this co-op. We were talking, and she was like, said, that sounds great. Let's look into it. And talked to Christy. I talked to Christy. Christy said, oh, I've already been thinking about something like this already because of her son and a program that he was in. And so that's kind of the beginning of, okay, now what do we do? And it was a lot of conversations, a lot of long-distance phone calls.
My perspective, I always wanted some help with homeschooling. So at the point that she brought this idea up, I was taking one child to science classes on a day, and I was taking another child to some other classes on a day because they were getting old enough that I felt like they needed more than what I could just do at home. And so this, to be able to bring them all to one thing on one day and get all of that at the same time was very intriguing to me, the idea.
I had the oldest child that I've been homeschooling. I've been homeschooling 10 years. And we began homeschooling when it became it exploded. Homeschooling exploded. Yes. But it was still really a new phenomenon. People still looked at you like you had two heads and that something was wrong with you. And even legally, we had to be careful about keeping our kids inside during the day so neighbors wouldn't report you and all this. So we were but we did not have the resources. Remember, we didn't have the internet. And so we didn't have the resources people have today just to Google something or anything. So anything that we taught our kids, we had to go find, bring in. It was hard work. And then we had a lot of people criticizing us for it. We just need to hire some teachers to come alongside of us. So then the three of us got our heads together and did that. And when we started presenting this idea to other homeschoolers, it was like the perfect timing in this area of the country. But I think a lot of people don't realize that we were the first hybrid program for K through 12 in all of Georgia. And I think we may have been the second in the whole country next to Texas.
Mm-hmm. So how did it feel when TKA transitioned from a rented church space to having its own campus?
Wow.
It was great.
It was great. There's always issues when you're renting space in having to get permission for everything that you do, and always having to reset back to what the church wanted instead of what we were doing. And so it's been really nice to have our own spaces and be able to, we rent to churches now, and being able to help them out by having, but it's flipped the other way. They have to set up and reset up for us, kind of a thing. So it's a nice partnership with them to be able for that to work out. But yeah, it's huge to have your own space.
The families back then were amazing. They all showed up to help paint,
to move
clean,
and move in, and
well, even before that, when we were in the other building,
right.
in the church, we had a family that offered to clean the carpets for us. There was just every family, just all hands on deck. They really owned the school.
And they're the ones that raised the down payment for us to
get the loan for the building. And it was a very few amount of families back in that time. Mm-hmm. But I really credit the school surviving to those first few families that came along.
So next is about the hybrid model. You already touched on this a little bit, but is there anything else you want to add about why you decided upon the hybrid model?
I saw a lot of homeschooling families in our co-op that were struggling. They wanted to keep their kids home with them. They wanted to be the primary influence in their lives, but they were not getting academics done the way it needed to be done. It was just too hard. We didn't have the resources. We didn't have the help. And I just saw a lot of us struggling too. And we wanted our kids to be academically minded. We wanted them to excel in academics, just not at the risk of losing their faith or their character. And so we were just trying to find a balance where they could get a good education, take some pressure off moms.
I liked the hybrid model from an educational standpoint because I have a degree in education, my bachelor's degree. And for me, it was seeing the benefits of being in the classroom academically and the benefits of having a tutor the other days that just meshed really well, because the two things are like really good ways to get a good education.
Speaking on that, what does it mean to you to see something you started as mothers grow into an institution that now serves so many families?
Well, you just bring tears to my eyes.
Yeah.
We'll never get over it. I mean, I drove up in the parking lot this morning, and there were cars everywhere, and I thought, what in the world is going on? And it was the famous Americans in second grade. I mean, there is just, every time I pull up in the parking lot, I thought, well, something else is going on at the King's Academy. It has just been an overwhelming blessing to see how God took just a small, teeny idea that we had and impacted so many lives. And we're now up to 55 couples that have married out of the school, and families that travel together and have become best friends by meeting at King's Academy. It's truly amazing.
We often said, though, if we first started, after now, we'll say, had we known it was going to be like this at the beginning, we would have thought, we can't do that.
We would have run.
We would have, said, no way.
Just like Moses.
Right. It was it's pretty overwhelming, but in a really very special way.
Mm-hmm.
Were there specific values that you were determined not to compromise even in the early stages? So, was there a specific time where you were tempted to compromise your values or, the integrity of the school? Or I think of, school dances. You compared our school dances to other school dances where you, tried to keep it faith-focused and not conform to the world.
It's always a fine line.
Yeah, we've been tempted not to compromise, but not knowing how not to compromise on some things. When students are wanting one thing and then families expect something else, and then we're non-denominational, so everybody kind of has a different level of what they think is acceptable and not acceptable. And but I will say that we built the school on 3 pillars, and I talk about this all the time. Number 1, that families would be first and that parents would have a say and a role. Secondly, that we would never compromise our biblical worldview. And the third thing is that we would keep it as affordable as possible. And so those 3 things, we try to sift every decision we make through those 3 pillars. And if it's not compromising one of those things, then we have tried to say yes to just about everything.
What do you hope students see in the heart behind the school?
Ultimately, our goal is that all the students have a Christian worldview when they are a biblical worldview when they graduate, and how would you?
Yeah,
that so there's a lot of decisions we make to go along with that. Teachers being trained in how to apply that to any subject area.
And to break that down, just that they understand that this is God's world,
right,
and He gets to make the choices and the decisions, and we get to fit into that. And so what is our purpose here on earth is to bring glory to Him in everything we do. And so He uniquely gifted every student differently, some with great skills, some with not as many, some with a passion for sport, some for a passion for academics, and that they would just see all of that as a gift from God and use it all the days of their life to glorify Him.
Okay, I just have 2 more questions for you. How do you see TKA continue to change in the years to come? Or how do you hope to see TKA continue to change in the years to come?
Goodness. I think the core things that we've talked about won't change.
Right.
And that's very important to us, that those stay core. But at the same time, hybrid and education are all very innovative, and there's always new things that you learn about how to take care of being on the internet, that you learn how to use or not use AI, that that you learn better how to create your resume. I mean, there's all kinds of things that we are constantly learning ourselves and want to incorporate into what we teach our students.
Honestly, when we tell people, whether it's our accrediting agency or anybody really, that the same people that started this school are still here, they are blown away by that. And we're not here we want to be innovative. We want to listen to the younger generations. We're not trying to, we are all about change. But we are so protective in this culture of making sure that the biblical worldview is protected, that we just haven't felt free to leave. But you can see how old we are. We will be leaving. And so another generation will be taking over. And it is just our prayer that God will put people in place that are bold, courageous, have a strong, solid biblical worldview that will continue the school down that path. And honestly, I would rather see the school fold than to see us compromise that. And I don't want it to fold, and I don't see any evidence that it would. But you never know when a new group of people come in to run the school. So it is our prayer that God will bring the right people to lead the school on after we leave.
Thank you. Last thing that you haven't shared already, what part of the story do you hope is never forgotten? And this can be one little part from each of you, or one that you'll share.
It's just it's very emotional when we look back and see what God has done. It's just to think that He chose just us, just ordinary people with just an idea, and that He gave us a front row seat to see Him work in the Woodstock area like this.
It's very humbling. And because it wasn't because we were so talented. It wasn't because we were so smart. It was just, He just chose us, just like He chose Moses. And Moses said, I can't speak. And He said, do it. and we just stepped out in faith, really not knowing what we were doing. And we opened our hands to let other people help us. We didn't try to do everything ourselves. And so many people came and used their unique talents and gifts to get us where we are today. And we've made lots of mistakes. We continue to make mistakes. And by having the wonderful families that we have that have been so gracious and kind and have just tried to help us when we make those mistakes. And we've tried to humble ourselves and say, oops, that was not a good decision. Please forgive us, and we'll go in a different direction. And so I'll never get over it, never. And I'm so grateful that God chose us when we're not any more special than the next person, and we're not any more talented than the next person. He just chose us and gave us the opportunity to do this, and I will forever be grateful.
It was always something that we wanted it to be Spirit-led, to be where we wouldn't make a quick decision. We always wanted to pray through it and to wait and have the clear direction as far as what was going to happen to them. In the beginning, there were just so many. We had to change and shift and move things around, till it finally felt, okay, it was in a good place. And then you had the base pretty set, and then started adding all the different things. And I think that a lot of people don't realize how much went into trying to develop this into what it is now, because it looks so it's awesome. But at the beginning, there was so much okay, this came up. So what are we going to do about that? What's going to be our policy on that, or what's going to be our, decisions on those kinds of things? And we were learning, as you go on, but to see what the Lord has done has just been like mind blowing, honestly, just mind blowing.
That's
I've
correct.
never ever imagined it would be like this ever.
Yeah.
So,
I would agree. I can't think of a specific thing that I wouldn't want forgotten, because it's the spirit that is what we don't want to have forgotten.
Thank you guys so much.